5 tips on how to build emotional stability. Today I'm going to be speaking to you about how to build emotional stability according to Stoicism. If you didn't see my first video on Stoicism, I would highly recommend that you watch it now so that you get a better understanding of what Stoicism is. For those of you who have a rocky emotional life, here are 5 tips on how to build emotional stability. But first, I want to give you a brief explanation of what emotional instability looks like. What is emotional instability? While it is normal to experience a wide range of emotions, having extreme, intense mood swings are not. An emotionally unstable person will go from being blissfully happy to terribly sad within a short space of time. It can be the smallest thing that will cause your emotions to shift from one extreme to the next. For example, during a happy moment, a comment that you perceive as offensive will cause you to become extremely angry. In layman's terms, emotionally unstable people go from 0 to 100 real quick. There are many reasons for emotional instability, including trauma and abuse, but one of the most common is the inability to regulate one's emotions. When parents fail to teach their children how to regulate their emotions, the consequence is emotional instability. Emotional regulation involves identifying your emotions, accepting them, and working through them. For example, when a child is angry, the typical response from a parent is to encourage the child to stop being angry because it is a negative emotion, but the correct response should be the following. Ask the child to identify their emotion by saying, "How do you feel right now?" When the child responds that they are angry, the parent should ask, "What has made you angry?" When the child responds, the parent should say, "It's okay to be angry, but it is not right to lash out in anger. So let's sit together and be angry for a while." Once the child has processed their anger, encourage them to take slow, deep breaths to calm down. Continue speaking to the child until they have completely released their anger. When children learn how to regulate their emotions from a young age, they carry this skill with them throughout life and become emotionally healthy adults. One of the main tenets of Stoicism is the idea of being in total control of your emotions. There are very few things in this world that we can control, but what we can control is our attitudes, thoughts, and reactions. However, this is something that we must learn. So here are 5 tips to build emotional stability. 1. Understand your emotions. In 2017, a study published in the Proceedings of National Academy of Sciences identified 27 different emotions. These include happiness, disgust, sadness, fear, anger, and surprise. First, it is important to understand that all emotions are normal. They are a part of what makes us human. There is no such things as positive or negative emotions. However, society has labeled emotions, such as anger and sadness, as negative. As a result, many people are afraid to express these emotions openly. Most of you listening to this will remember being scolded when you were a child for expressing such emotions, and instead encouraged to be happy and joyful. This is where your emotional instability began. So the first step in becoming emotionally stable is understanding your emotions. Here are some tips on how to do so. Tune into your feelings. It's not uncommon to rush through the day without paying attention to how you feel. Most people bury their emotions so that it doesn't affect their work and productivity levels. But you are going to experience various emotions throughout the day. Instead of ignoring them, tune into them by asking yourself why you feel this way. Accept your emotions. As mentioned, emotions are a normal part of the human experience, and it's okay to experience all of them. Therefore, whether you're angry, sad, or disgusted, don't judge yourself for feeling like this. Instead, accept and embrace these emotions. Journal about your emotions. Emotions are designed to be released, and journaling is a great way to do this. By putting all your thoughts and feelings down on paper, you get to express yourself clearly and release any tension you may be feeling. Share your feelings. Sharing your feelings will help expand your emotional vocabulary. Just make sure you share your feelings with someone you can trust. See a therapist. If you can afford to, seeing a therapist will help you work through your emotions and gain a better understanding of them so you can become more emotionally stable. 2. Understand your emotional triggers. Emotional triggers are the people, objects, or memories that ignite intense emotions. For example, the sight of your manager may make you feel anxious because they're always criticizing your work. Here are some tips on how to identify your emotional triggers. Your responses. The next time you feel an intense emotion out of the blue, scan your surroundings to discover why. For example, you might feel angry when people talk about their mothers because you have a bad relationship with yours. Retrace your steps. Once you identify how you respond to your triggers, the next step is to retrace your steps to discover why you feel this way. For example, the sound of Christmas carols might make you depressed because you lost a loved one at Christmas time. Listen to yourself. Do you keep revisiting a certain event? When it happened, you talked it out with your friends and you thought you were over it. But every so often, you bring it up again and experience the same intense emotions you felt when it first happened. This is an indication that there was something about that situation that triggered you. 4. Develop coping strategies. As mentioned, all emotions are normal, even the ones perceived to be negative. However, while it's okay to walk around with a massive smile on your face if you're happy, it's not okay to punch the person who made you angry in the face. Therefore, it's important to develop coping strategies that will assist you in managing emotions that would cause you to lash out. Here are some tips. Breathing exercises. Mindfulness. Exercise, dance, yoga. Speak to a trusted friend or family member. Visualization. Progressive muscle relaxation. 5. Establish boundaries. There are several reasons why people suffer from emotional instability, and one of them is due to having no boundaries. When you allow everyone to operate in your life as they please, you will feel emotionally unstable. This could include things like friends and family calling you during unsociable hours because they know you'll pick up, turning up at your house without giving you advance notice, or always asking you to do things because you never say no. What happens is that you end up feeling overwhelmed. Deep down, you resent the people who are constantly invading your space, but you don't know how to tell them to stop because you don't want to cause offense. The best way to deal with situations like this is to establish boundaries with your loved ones. Here are some tips on how to do so. Know your limits. Even if you don't enforce boundaries, you'll know when you've reached your limit because you will feel it. You'll be aggravated, frustrated, and in some cases, completely fed up. You've got way too much on your plate to take on anything else. Be upfront. Don't beat around the bush when it comes to establishing your boundaries. The next time someone calls you at 2 a.m. in the morning, explain that they shouldn't call you any later than a time suitable for you. And if they call after that, you won't pick up. Be consistent. Whatever boundaries you set, be consistent with them, or people will not take you seriously, and they will violate them when they please. Using the calling after hours example again, After you told your best friend not to call you past a certain time, they call you 3 times in a row after that time. At the third ring, you pick up, in case it's an emergency. But all your friend wanted was to tell you about the latest gossip. When people know they can violate your boundaries, they will continue to do so. Enforce consequences. Setting and enforcing consequences will let people know that you're serious about your boundaries. Using the phone example again, the second time your friend calls after hours, explain that if they do it again, you will block them. Your friend will either take you seriously or they won't. If they call again, block them. Establishing boundaries will give you peace of mind, knowing that you own your space and you have the power to keep people out of it if you don't want them in it. Building emotional stability is a journey that requires patience, practice, and self-compassion. You're not going to get it right the first time because you've been emotionally unstable your entire life. It will take a while to overcome it. Nevertheless, if you implement the 5 tips mentioned in this video, you will eventually master your emotions and become the emotionally stable person you were destined to be. If this video has helped you in any way, smash the like button, share it with friends and family, and if you haven't subscribed, what are you waiting for? Subscribe and turn on your post notifications so you're alerted every time I post a new video. Stay tuned for my upcoming video on how to thrive in an uncertain world.